Hello once again, I'm Craig Andrus. Thanks for joining Call the Mayor, Wichita. The number 316-491-5787. You can call any question you've got. Be happy to answer it. The mayor's not here today, so I'd like to introduce you District 3 special guest, Mr. James Clendenin. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure, Craig. Thanks.
Well, look, District 3, we'll start off with. That's a pretty big area.
It is. You go from Kellogg to the north to around 73rd Street to the south, and then my western boundary is Seneca Street, and my eastern boundary is Woodlawn.
Okay, so glad you're here. Go ahead and call us 316-491-5787. We're taking questions on Facebook, so if you're out there, send them in now. They'll hand them to me. I'll ask the questions. James, you'll answer anything, I'm told.
Absolutely.
Well, glad you're here. Look, I know we've had a lot in the news happening since we last talked. One of the big things that we've talked about, we'll start off with that, is very popular. They seem to be, I see them all over Wichita, scooters. And we've just had them all over the place.
What a hot topic right now. You know, you either hate them or you love them. And I will tell you though, everybody I see riding them is smiling from ear to ear. So we just need to make sure that as people are riding them, they're following the rules and being safe, and I think everybody will be able to adjust well.
Now, the company that has them out, I'm told that they've done well. We've had a lot of riders on these things. The numbers are pretty high. Has it top 10,000 yet? I don't know.
You know, I don't know what the numbers are myself yet, but I will tell you, I see them all over the place, and honestly, not too many of them not in use. So I know the numbers are pretty high.
As far as the scooters go, I know we've talked about safety. The city's talked about it. I would like to start off by showing you some of the scooters and some of the safety tips that the city has actually talked about. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. And there again, there's an app, and once you get the app, you can, download it. You can pay your fee, you can go ride it. And a reminder, you do have to be, I think the rule is, I believe it's 18, you're supposed to be to ride these.
You are. I use these actually in Fort Lauderdale and in Washington, D.C. And it's interesting, I haven't been on one here yet, but same as anywhere else in the country. You do your app, you read the rules, make sure you have the proper safety equipment on, as you can see in the video there, and you go ride and have fun.
Was that the mayor?
I know there was Councilmember Tuttle. I know Councilmember Tuttle was there.
Look, as far as the scooter goes, we do want to show you a quick video clip. The city's been talking about safety with these for a very long time. So let's go ahead and show you Barry the Bison. Get a look.
It's great to see you, and it's great to see that you're having fun exploring our wonderful city on a scooter. But there's a few things you need to know. Number one, you should be riding in the street. You're required to ride in the street, and you're prohibited from riding on the sidewalk. So any street, 35 miles an hour or less, you can ride a scooter on, and especially in the bike lanes. The other thing you need to know is that, are you 18 years old? Good, that's a good thing, because you have to be at least 18 years old in order to ride a scooter here in Wichita. And the third thing is, you should wear a helmet. All right, we've got one right here for you. All right, is that better? Very good. Hey, Barry, it's great to see you again, buddy. I'm glad you're having fun exploring a wonderful city on a scooter, but I gotta tell you, this is not where you're supposed to park a scooter. Yeah, we're required to not block the pedestrian traffic and not to block automobile traffic or bicycle traffic. So we need to get this out of the way. Here, I'll help you. See, we move it over here so it's still up above the curb. It's not blocking traffic of any kind, and it's out of the way. See, it's in line with other fixtures like trees and meters. It's not blocking any doors or fire hydrants. Does that make sense? Fantastic. I'm glad I could help you out, buddy. It's good to see you.
Okay, so kind of a fun piece there to get a look at some of the rules. And again, I know we've seen them on sidewalks. People are using them on the sidewalks, but there's that piece. We'll get back to that in a minute. But call the mayor, 316-491-5787. In this case, call your city council member, James Clendenin. Happy that you're here. We already have a question, so let's get right to it.
Oh, great.
Brenda, you are on the show. What is your question about pests or mosquitoes? Okay. Well, we had a call about mosquitoes and pests and spraying. Do we, as a city, do we spray? Do you have that information handy?
Yeah, as a city, we do spray a little bit in some of our parks, but we don't do a wholesale spray over the whole city.
Now, Clapp Park, that brings that up. What's happening now with that? I know that's been in the news cycle recently quite a bit.
Yeah, Clapp, that is actually a sad subject for me. We really have quite a bit of golfers who have used CLAP for years. And as a matter of fact, the golf course has been open for 80 years. And it's one of those kind of mainstays down in southeast Wichita. Unfortunately, it has not been making money, and it has been really becoming a drain on our general fund budget. And so one of the things that we decided to do as a city council and the park board as well is that we're going to go ahead and close CLAP, and we're going to turn it into a park and some green space. So at least now everybody, no matter who you are, can enjoy the park and hopefully enjoy the green space. It's 95 acres. There is a ton of space out at CLAP Park, and so there's a lot of room for people to come enjoy.
There is. I'm sure people get out summertime. Brenda's back on the line. Brenda, you had a follow-up question to mosquitoes. You're on the show with Call the Mayor. And we lost her again. Had a follow-up question. I tried. As far as CLAP Park goes too, I know we're kind of trying to figure out next steps here.
Yeah.
316-491-5787. If you got a question about golf, if you got a question about anything, scooters or bison in Wichita, but what are the next steps kind of here for the decision-making process of CLAP? Because it is a public space.
Yeah, so when we were making that decision to close CLAP, we put a citizen committee together to kind of look at what the community wanted from this green space. And so now, as that citizen input is over with, and that committee kind of gave us 3 scenarios that we're going to work off of, we're going to get a consultant together and do a master plan for the park. And as we do the master plan for the park, we're going to get more public input. And then as the master plan is voted on and it becomes an official document, we'll have kind of a guidepost of what types of investment we're going to invest in that green space, and what the community wants is what they'll get.
I keep hearing about development. 316-491-5787. That's the number. Ask any question. The mayor's not here tonight, but James Clendenin, happy to answer any of your questions.
Absolutely.
And I heard talk for a couple of years now about development near CLAP or on CLAP.
Sure.
Will that be a public-private partnership, or what comes next? Because at one point, I do know that even Quick Trip had jumped in and said, we are interested in that space on the corner,
right.
but that never developed. So will there be kind of a public-private kind of a partnership here?
Yeah, there will be, I tell you, I'm not going to rule out any public-private partnership, but what I will rule out is wholesale development. The community has been very vocal and very forthright about them wanting to keep the green space. Once you build the green space out with concrete and commercial space, it's tough to get back. And so the community wants a place where they can take their families, where they can experience some quality of life amenities. And so if there is any partnership with a private group, it will be in some sort of park-related development, maybe some zip lines, maybe some a pump track, maybe somebody wanted to bring the possibility, excuse me, of a half pipe. For snowboarders. We have a guy in town who makes snow, right? And so in the wintertime, you can maybe have a half pipe. There's just been some wild ideas. Nothing's been decided on. But as the community moves forward in this, we hope to get feedback.
Okay, one more try. Brenda, if you're there, what is your question for James Clendenin? Councilman, what is your question? You're on the show.
Yes, I would like to know why Wichita will not spray for mosquitoes. They are so horrible this year, and I hear that many of the surrounding towns are doing so, and a lot of other, even small towns throughout Kansas. We need it so desperately. Is there any good reason it's not being done?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I can give you probably a couple of guesses because I haven't really talked to our public works departments about this. I do know that spraying for mosquitoes over the area the size of Wichita is quite costly. And by the way, yeah, the mosquitoes are horrible this year. I can't even walk outside of my house without getting attacked. So I understand where you're coming from. But unfortunately, when we have to weigh the costs of spraying for mosquitoes and in some cases mowing park space, that ends up mowing kind of overcomes spraying for mosquitoes as far as costs go. But I will say there are some things that we can do and some public service announcements that we've tried to put out there for people to reduce the mosquito populations on their own properties. One is you can make sure that your yard is mowed all the time, and two, make sure that there's no standing water around on your property. If neighbors are doing some of these things and helping each other do some of these things, we as citizens can help to reduce some of that mosquito population.
And I was going to say, you live down south. Do you and the kids go out and play in the backyard, or is it?
Oh, absolutely. And we actually have a lake that's not too far from our house, and so we get the mosquitoes. I mean, they're giant mosquitoes in our case, but no, we just have to put the spray on and do what we can.
Well, Robin, you are on Call the Mayor Wichita. What is your question for James Clendenin? We lost Robin. Okay. She had questions about people camping in the neighborhood. So, Robin, let's see if we can get her back. And two, with the spraying for mosquitoes, I don't know if Wichita's traditionally done it. I know that in Reno County, they're spraying in some areas. I know that some of the smaller communities have, and it is a big piece of their budget. So,
it is.
Do you budget for something like this? I've not asked Alan King, the Public Works Director, if this is in the budget.
You know, we've...
hold that thought. Robin, let's grab you if you're there. Robin, what's your question?
Yes. Hi. I live at 3rd and Emporia, and there are some people that are camping across right from the historic high school there, and they've been there for several days. And are you there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead, Robin. If you can hear us, Robin, go ahead. You're still on the show.
Okay. I've been there for several days. They've been there for several days, and police have been called many times, and they're still there, and there's junk all over the place. And I've been concerned for the people over there when it was hot, and I was wondering, you know, with the extra money we have, if they're going to be thinking about social services done, and what can be done about these people immediately. And also down the street, there's a house there that's got all kinds of junk around it.
Robin, thank you for your questions. I do know that there are some nuisance laws, but in addition, it sounds like part of her question was getting to maybe these people need some social services.
Yeah, that's actually a great question, and something that a lot of people don't understand how they can actually be involved in helping people this way. We, first of all, have a team through the police department called the Homeless Outreach Team. We call them HOT, the HOT team. And the HOT team can be called if you call 911 or you call in to any one of the police substations. They'll send the HOT team out. They will let those people that are camping know that they have 48 hours to move, because we do have an anti-camping ordinance in the city of Wichita. And so after 48 hours, the HOT team will come back and they will assist people to move if they're not able to move. But we have to give them that notification. But the other thing about the house, please, again, get a hold of one of your neighborhood city halls and talk to one of the neighborhood assistants or even the metropolitan area, MABCD, it's the zoning department, and they will help you find a way to get an inspector out at a problem property, and we can start a case and try to get that cleaned up for you.
All right, thank you very much. Call the Mayor of Wichita. George, you have a follow-up question about Clapp Golf Course. Go ahead, you're on the show, George.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, as they come up with developments for this park, who's going to be responsible to maintain that? It's my understanding that the city, Park and Recreation Department, hardly has enough people to maintain what they have now. And now they add, 94 acres to what they probably don't have enough people to maintain. And that's my question.
George, that's a good question. Thank you for that. I do know that Alan King had addressed that at one point. Public Works Director, that if we indeed go ahead and do something with a big green space, he said it would take some revenue to do that. Alan King also mentioned too to me, he said, look, we're also going to have some additional revenue drivers out there with people, depending on what we put in there, not all commercial, but he did bring that question up, and he answered part of that with me and said there could be some more revenue coming out of there. But your thoughts on that?
Well, our caller is exactly right. I mean, it will cost the city of Wichita some money to maintain that park space, but it was costing the city of Wichita much more to maintain it as a golf course. And so we really are going to find a savings. We won't be watering that grass anymore. We'll let Mother Nature do that. And so mowing it's going to end up, we'll do it less frequently, maybe on a 14 to 21 day mow cycle. And so there are some cost savings that we're going to realize as a city on a whole by turning it into a park. Now, As Craig said, we have talked with our Parks Department and our Public Works Director. There's maybe, again, some partnerships that we can do inside that park with some park-related development that might bring some sort of revenue to the park. For example, Watson Park, we have a train, we have paddle boats, we have miniature golf out at Watson Park. All of that is maintained by the revenue we get from those activities. And they don't cost a lot, but just enough to make sure that we can maintain them.
I love the train at Watson. That's a fun thing.
Oh, it's a wonderful thing. Absolutely. We just replaced it a few years ago, and by the way, it's already paid for itself. So it's a wonderful thing. Absolutely.
All right, we have another caller on the line. You are on the show. What is your question about Century 2?
Yes. My question really isn't a question. It's just that people here in Wichita, they love Century 2, and we don't want it tore down, and I know there's thoughts of doing it, and we love the Coliseum, and that didn't help any. And this is, and the municipal pool, we love that, and we got an old courthouse. I worked in and helped do the taxes for the people, and that place is needing a lot of work on it. And if we'd start doing just a little at a time, it wouldn't cost so much to fix things. And I wish we could keep our old buildings and stuff, things that we love. My dad was a builder, and he always told us kids the older things are built much better than the new things, and he's right.
So they don't make them like they used to.
They don't. Well, I appreciate the call. Nothing has been decided yet on Century 2. And that's a good thing because that allows the public to continue to do this, let their voice be heard. That decision is going to be the next few years, maybe not quite a few years, but within the next couple of years. And Century 2 is getting older. It does have some maintenance issues. There is a little bit of deferred maintenance because we really weren't quite sure what we were going to do and didn't want to make some wholesale investments until we got a lot of public feedback. And a lot of that feedback has happened. And now as we wait to make a decision on that and we concentrate even on a performing arts center and some other amenities over in that area, feel free to continue to call in, send your emails, and let us know how you feel about Century 2. That's one of those things that's kind of a 50-50 in the community.
It is. It seems to be.
It is. 50% of the people want to move on new, and some people want to preserve the old.
Well, it's such an icon. When you look at the downtown view, that's part of that downtown view.
It is. I think there are some great ideas for repurposing Century 2. And we just need to take those ideas from the public and continue to move forward in a thoughtful way.
Nothing happening overnight. Okay, Randy, you are on the show. Call the mayor. What is your question?
Well, my concern is related to the report in the Wichita Eagle on Sunday about the failing Wichita water system. And it's sourced from the Director of Public Works, Alan King, and it's very alarming that 99 to 100% of Wichita's water system is in very poor condition. And there has been a failure to maintain the system apparently for 3 or 4 decades. And yet the city is quickly building with tens of thousands of dollars of public money at baseball park, but has not maintained its water system. Please explain.
Well, I thank you for the call. I appreciate that. And I will say this before you get started, that there has been maintenance out there. I know that I did a story 7 years ago, 7 years ago, about maintenance out there. There is ongoing, there has continued to be ongoing maintenance. But the Wichita, you bring up a good point with your call and your question. The Wichita Eagle brought a lot of things up. I know that the mayor addressed some of those concerns today, as did Alan King, the Director of Public Works. That is a very hot topic this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an important topic, actually. About 8 years ago when I was first on the council, we were talking quite seriously about some of the deferred maintenance that we had seen. But something else to realize is that it's 80 years old. And anything that's 80 years old is going to need to be replaced. And so we're continuing. The Director of Public Works said it great today. We have some amazing people that are keeping that plant going. We have not had a boil order or had to tell people to go without water. They're doing a wonderful job. And we recently made that decision to go ahead and spend $500 million to build a new state-of-the-art water treatment plant because it's needed. The old one just can't keep up the way it used to, and the technology is very hard to come by when you have to make fixes. And so the concern is valid. I'm glad that people are concerned and actually becoming more aware of the situation, because for the last 3 years we've been talking publicly about how we need a new water treatment plant and the things that we need to do to ensure that we have water in the city of Wichita.
Okay, we've got some interesting graphs that we want to show you, but first, let's take a call, another subject. We'll shift gears here again.
Absolutely.
Inez, you're on the show. What is your question for James?
Just recently I saw on a television station that the eastern two-thirds of Kansas, so it only leaves one-third for western Kansas, is in the high-risk area for Lyme disease. It's a horrible, terrible disease if you've known anyone that has, and one of my high school classmates had it. And what amount of money can't be spent to protect health of all our citizens here in Wichita and not get this horrible disease?
That brings up a good point. I do know that I have a friend who actually had Lyme disease for a while. I also know that we're in, as far as the mosquitoes go, we KDHE, Kansas Department of Health and Environment, recently put out a warning to say South Central Kansas and other spots around South Central Kansas are now at an increased risk for West Nile virus. Now, we haven't heard West Nile. It hasn't been in the news a lot lately, but it is a horrendous thing to get. Equines can acquire this, people can acquire this, and it is an awful thing for the people that get it. It can make you very sick. It can kill some people if your immune system's not all the way up there. And again, spraying for mosquitoes, I know it's not a budgetary item that is necessarily built in or boosted, but would the council ever have the discussion? I don't know.
Oh, well, absolutely. When a citizen brings something up, we always, we'll get an email in the office, and normally we'll all get the email. We're definitely discussing some of those concerns and ideas that people have. Lyme's disease also is spread through ticks, and ticks are very bad this year. So continue to be vigilant to checking yourself for ticks. I've actually, my dog and my children have had ticks this year, and I think it's the first year that we've even seen that. It's bad.
I have done 3 treatments on my dog, Cinco, so far, and still with the ticks. So you bring up a good point. I also had a family member get Rocky Mountain spotted fever, super rare here. Not a good chance you're going to get it, but it almost killed him. So I do know it's an issue and a concern. Now, if we could, let's go ahead and take a look. 316, by the way, 491-5787. That's the number. Send in your Facebook questions, too. We know some of you are clicking on Facebook, so I know that it's being monitored and it might be answered right now. But get your questions in. We'll take those questions immediately. Facebook, the City of Wichita, can respond as well because they are looking at it as we're airing the show live. For those of you watching it at a later time, well, Facebook us. Get in on the next one. 8 o'clock, Channel 8. It is the last Thursday of every month, so call in now. But if we could, let's take a graphic. I want to show you a rendering of what this $500 million, that's with a B, I know it's a big investment.
With a B.
$500 million water treatment, yeah, you saw
hard to say, believe me.
But, here's a rendering of what we could see out there, and wow, stark contrast to the old one that exists now that is still working and functioning, but would the old one be, have we considered, would the old one stay as a backup?
Yeah.
Or have we even gotten that far in the conversation yet?
We really haven't gotten that far in the conversation. We do know that we're going to mothball it. We're going to keep the property. Okay. It is the possibility is there that it could be a redundant system for the future, but it would take a tremendous amount of money for an upgrade to make that happen. So having this new plant is going to be so important for us that once we're able to mothball it, I'm pretty confident that this new plant is going to be able to handle what's needed. Right now, I know that our last caller was pretty worried about possibly not having water and maybe us spending money in other directions. That I just want him and others to know that we're really paying attention to this. We've been focused on it for several years. It has been a priority. the financing is just now coming through. We're going to save taxpayers some money and at the same time infuse dollars into the community with the construction project. So the new water treatment plant is on its way, and when it's done, everybody will be happy, I know.
316-491-5787. Give us a call. We'll be happy to have your calls on the show, and we'll answer most anything, maybe
Sure.
even questions about his dog versus my dog and ticks and fleas. I don't know. I'm serious. I've treated my dog 3 times very recently, and I don't want to do it anymore because you're not supposed to, but yeah, it's an issue right now.
I was just at a feed and seed store today looking for a flea and tick treatment, and they said the flea treatments aren't working this year, and the tick treatments are doing okay, but go to your vet, to get your flea and tick treatment. It's hard to say.
We do have another thought here, and let me ask you this. There was a time when they redid the water main valve coming out of if you drive by Old Cowtown Museum, it's kind of right there where it comes across the river. They were redoing a valve there. They shut it down, that street, for a while, and was it Central itself that was shut down?
Sorry,
I
don't know.
I do know that recently that was McLean. That was, thank you, was shut down for a while, and they put in a new main there. And I talked to, it wasn't Alan King, it wasn't Gary Jansen, it was somebody with the city. And I talked to him and I asked him, I said, what is this that's being replaced? And he said, oh, well, that's the main valve coming out. So I do know that maintenance has been going on. As far as funding goes, you find money for those spots, you do what you have to do. But tell me about the funding mechanism right now. I know we're working with the feds on this and perhaps a loan.
Yes.
How does that kind of work?
So we were fortunate enough to be accepted to apply for a WIFIA loan through the federal government. That's a special loan and a revolving loan through the state. And with both those pieces of the puzzle, it's going to allow us to save money on interest costs. Gosh, it was 70-some, I think, $1 million that we're going to save in interest costs over the life of the loan. And the payments are deferred with that WIFIA loan. So that means that we'll be able to build the plant and be able to save some money in the process without that loan coming, payments coming due right away. So with those 2 funding mechanisms, it's really making this $500 million project possible without double-digit increases in our water rates.
And I know water rates are projected to keep going up. I know it's a hot topic for a lot of people. If you have, look, if you have a question about water rates or Century 2 or anything, 316-491-5787. If we have the graphic, let's go ahead and take a look at kind of some of the history of where we've been with water right now in Wichita. 2011, $109 million. 2012, $51 million. There's a water main breaks, 23% higher there. Now, in 2013, the city began that 5-year project to replace the outdated meter reading technology, and a lot of people are complaining about the meters. I know part of that's been fixed. Now in 14, 40% of the future water projects are declared to regulatory compliance or water main replacement. Now on the next graphic, you look at 2015. This is interesting to me. Renewal and replacement rate of water and sewer infrastructure has an all-time high of 8%. It'd be a benchmark is not that. So let's take a breaking point there at 2015. I know it's a lot of numbers to look at, but basically renewal and replace, things have to be replaced.
They do, especially as they get older. We have in the last, during that timeline, we started replacing some of the old wooden water
I have
pipes.
to ask again, you just said wooden.
I said wooden. And we have examples in the water center in Herman Hill Park of these wooden pipes that are on display in the museum there. And we've had to take those out, and we've had to replace them with more modern pipes. Some of that stuff costs a lot of money, and that chart is a great chart because since 2011, and that was the year that I was elected to the council, as a matter of fact, we started really looking hard at where the deferred maintenance had been and how we're going to catch up and make sure that we keep water flowing in the city of Wichita.
So this is a bit of a proactive effort.
It has been.
Get rid of some of the deference,
right?
Which makes sense financially in a lot of ways if you can kind of juggle things and handle the budget that way. But getting rid of some of the deferred right now, you're getting a little more proactive, you say, about attacking this.
Oh, we've been proactive
for a while.
For a while on this, and knowing that we have to build a new water treatment plant, and there's a new sewage treatment plant that is slated to be built as well. Some of that stuff is 80, 60, 70 years old, and You know, you have to do major replacements. You know, if you have a house that's 80 years old, you might have to replace the roof from time to time, right?
If we can go back to the graphic, anything 80 years old. Now, 2016, get a look. This is $41 million. City hired a consultant to complete a system-wide review of water and sewer infrastructure. Both, since you just mentioned sewer, I wanted to bring this up again. Study highlights a need for, you know, some investment for that treatment plan. And then in 17, you look at the 46 there. City increases investment into the main water treatment plant, as you said, has to happen, but city submits first letter of interest for the WIFIA. I'm sorry, I don't even know what WIFIA, the acronym, stands for.
Oh, and now you're going to put me on the spot.
Because I did know at one point and I forgot.
You're going to put me on the spot now.
Let's just say it's a Fed loan.
It's a special federal loan, low interest, deferred payments.
So if we could jump ahead now to 2018. Okay, so we've got investment into the water mains. That began in 12. It pays off. Water breaks are certainly lower, and we know we've seen that because people like me haven't been doing stories on water main breaks because they're not happening. And
right.
Look, in the summertime, we get a lot of calls from people. You can call 316-491-5787. Ask about this if you want, but we haven't seen as many water main breaks. Now, this year in 19, you got that design build team.
Yeah.
And I guess it's 30% design for the new part, and to, I guess, define this kind of maximum price. So you've got a price that's going to be set in. You're not just sitting down saying, hey, dreaming what exactly we want. You've got a set price that you're working under here, for a total of 428 there on that side of things. The phase 2 design, where do we stand on that piece of it there? When does that come about?
Yeah, the phase 2 design will be started once the 30% design is done.
Okay.
You know, it's very important for people to realize we're doing the design build process so we can control costs and make sure that costs don't get out of control and it costs what we say it's going to cost, right? I think that's an expectation of our citizens. And so the design build process is going to ensure that. Doing 30% design first will help us really refine those costs.
Okay, design build, here comes a hot topic. This is not my golf swing. This is my baseball swing. Baseball, we know it's on the way. It's supposed to be April of 2020, so we're less than a year away. But the steel structure is up if you haven't driven by. We are getting some calls in and some questions at 316-491-5787. But, you know, this question from Facebook kind of dovetails with what I'm asking. The baseball stadium is going to be completed. But this question is, do you think we should be concerned about the decline in Wichita's population? Should we be building a new stadium? Should we be kind of investing in the future like this with a new stadium? And it is an investment in the future, there's no doubt. But your thoughts there? You
know, Wichita's population goes up and down. I know that in the regional area, there are some numbers that show that maybe it's declining a little bit. Wichita population itself is coming back well. You know, and should we be concerned? Well, if we want to boost our economy here, if we want to boost the people coming here, we need to have a really robust quality of life. We know from examples down in Oklahoma City, there have been companies that wouldn't go there before they did all their investments in their quality of life because there was nothing to do for the employees of those companies. So if we want companies to be interested about employing people here in the city of Wichita, we need to be interested in quality of life projects.
One of the big takeaways from Oklahoma City, if you haven't seen it, they built a baseball stadium there. But they did some other things at the same time, and I know the city has talked about this and tried to get some of this going at the same time.
Yes.
They also put in an arts facility. They put in the baseball stadium. They started working on some of the canals down there, and if you go down there now, businesses are certainly thriving. And I know we're maybe apples and oranges a little bit, but not necessarily apples and oranges, Wichita to Oklahoma City. Your thoughts on how that worked for them, and because we do have a lot going on in Wichita right now.
Well, you know, the formula, you can apply their formula to just about any place in the country. They may be a bigger city, but the formula is the same. So what they did is they built their baseball stadium and the subsequent development next to it. We're doing it the same way, but we're kind of putting a Wichita spin on it, you know. The wonderful thing is that minor league baseball has come in and said, you know what, you guys are doing such a fabulous job. We're going to make sure that you guys always stay a minor league baseball team, city. So if for some reason this team decided that it wanted to move to another city, maybe some greener pastures, minor league baseball said, you know what, we'll make sure that you have a team here.
Is that a guarantee? Are we going to keep a team here then?
That is what minor league baseball has said, and so I'll take them at their word.
Wow, and for those of you who don't, it's not a Kansas City Royals affiliate.
No.
I realize this, but for those of you who follow baseball and know who Bubba Starling is, you know, it's good. It's fun to see some of those young guys taken, and then they build their career up. And we've seen some of them here over time in Wichita, so it's good to see that coming back again.
Well, you know what's interesting too, you're going to see some of the big names come through, especially if they're on rehab.
Sure.
But the thing about minor league baseball is those teams are not built to be, this is going to sound weird, successful long term. They're built to build talent and move them up to the next level. And so you're going to see a team that might be really good at the beginning of the season, but some of their 2 or 3 key players might move up to the big leagues, right? And so the talent might deplete, so they may start losing some games. And so it's not really so much about how many wins or losses, but the actual player development that's coming through your city and some of the bigger names that you're going to get to see, and just the fun of watching baseball. I'm a big baseball fan.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a big baseball fan, but just the fun of watching baseball and being a part of that atmosphere. We're very fortunate in the city of Wichita, our size, to have a AAA baseball team. This is really a big deal.
I have a big test for James right now. If you're a big baseball fan, local Kansas City product, Bubba Starling, was picked in what round by the Royals?
Oh, geez, I don't know. Second round?
It was first. I knew he'd fail that because we've never had the Bubba Starling discussion. But
no, we haven't.
Okay, so we have another. By the way, 316-491-5787. That is the number. So please call us. We've got the lines open now. You can ask any question you want. Maybe not about baseball draft, but no, he was a multi-sport superstar, and yeah. I did some stories on him. So I'm cheating a little bit. I already have the knowledge.
So
there.
Bo Jackson-esque. Yes.
Yeah, that'd be about right.
Okay.
For those of you who know who Bo Jackson is, that, multi-sport star.
Yeah.
Okay, question off Facebook. Let's get Facebook is. We'll answer your questions right now.
Absolutely.
Why is there an 18-year-old age limit on scooters when 16-year-olds can drive cars? Can I answer that?
Sure, go ahead, if you'd like to.
I have a 16-year-old who just started driving. That's why.
Well, I have a 14.
Safety. It is. Your kids aren't driving this.
No, I do. I have a 21-year-old. He's gone. I have a 14-year-old that's just getting her permit, so I get it. You know, here's the interesting thing. We may lower the age later. We don't know. The reason why we put an 18-year-old limit on the scooters right now is because this is just a pilot project right now in the city of Wichita. We want to make sure that we're kind of refining the rules for operating these electric vehicles, and they really are electric vehicles.
And let's roll the video again, if you can cue up the video. If not, that's fine. But these things do get going pretty fast. Yeah. They don't get up to 35 miles an hour. But again, once these scooters get going, they're going at a pretty good rate. They're supposed to be on the streets. So, you know, you get a little older, you have people who have driven more, and they understand that you look for things that might be not looking for you in a car. But as far as that goes, what would be a time frame for evaluating this? The pilot project lasts how long here?
Yeah, you know, we're going to do it, I think, for 12 months. We'll evaluate. We're continually evaluating. If we need to stop the pilot project early, we can. If we need to extend it a little bit, we can too, just so we can be able to try out some, you know, different different variations of the rules based on what we're seeing.
Now, are the different companies, I know we've got other companies coming in, bringing more of these in,
yeah.
But do they have different rules? That's not a question I have ever asked.
No, everybody has to follow under the same rules that we've
adopted
here in the city of Wichita. Those rules have been based on some of the best practices that we've seen in other cities. And so we want to make sure that as we see the problems other cities are having, we want to try to curb some of those problems through this pilot project.
I will say this, I saw 2 of them pull up to a stoplight the other day, and the truck behind them didn't see them. And when he realized what just happened, he kind of waved at us because we were doing a live shot at the time, and he waved at us and he said, you could hear him, he kind of yelled, I'm getting used to them.
Yeah.
And we are on a learning curve here. So 316-491-5787. The lines are open. You can call us. James, you'll take questions about anything.
Sure.
Richard, you are on the line right now. You've got a question about golf again. You are on the show.
Hello?
Hello. You're on the show. Welcome. What's your question?
About bringing more people to Wichita, but tearing down all the golf courses and everything so nobody has any recreation unless you want to go and stand on a water park.
Okay, thank you for the call. I do know that the city's looked at this, and they've looked at the numbers, and Parks and Rec has looked at the numbers.
Yeah, we have.
And Houtman has also said, Troy Houtman,
yeah,
if I'm getting his name right, who's with Parks and Rec, has said, we've looked at the numbers for about the last, kind of metrics over the last 12 years, 10 years, 8 years, 6 years, and the trend continues to trend down. He said, we like bringing in new golfers. And that's one of the things that they've worked on, is they've got a youth golf program, but the numbers have trended down. So how do you kind of dovetail with people that love to golf with the fact that the numbers have been kind of tailing down a little bit? And you're a fan of golf, too.
No, I am. I mean, I think golf's great, actually. It's a wonderful sport. It's a sport that you get a ton of exercise walking, and it's great for kids to learn. But there are other forms of recreation as well, I think, that we can bring into the Clapp Golf Course area that will give everybody in the community, especially those that couldn't afford to play golf, the opportunity for recreational activities inside the park. One of the things that we've talked about is building maybe a little lake system in that park, so maybe some water activities can be done, having some boat and bike rentals right down in the heart of the city, not just on the river, you know, and having an amphitheater, having walking trails, having things that families can do together that are inexpensive, but really add to the quality of place and quality of life in the city of Wichita. So we will have I can probably argue that we'll have more recreational activities for people to do on this piece of property than we did before.
Where will some of the funding come from? Has the council talked about what to do to get funding put together? Yeah,
the funding will come right now through the CIP, which is the Capital Improvement Program. And so as we put the master plan together and we actually put a budget together for the master plan, we will kind of do it in phases and kind of do it as we have the money and make the improvements. Will be a priority put on some of those improvements.
Okay, 316-491-5787 if you have a question for the mayor. Today, sitting in for the mayor, James Clendenin of District 3. We do have another Facebook question, so keep those coming in. Here's one. What does the city have for kids to do during the summer months? And, well, what does Wichita have for kids in the summertime?
You know, there have been, first of all, we have one of the most amazing park systems here in the city of Wichita. Soon, our aquatics program is going to be in full swing. We will have 6 pools in the city of Wichita, and we will have 6 splash pads in the city of Wichita that are going to be absolutely amazing for kids to partake in. You know, there are sports programs through our rec system at the city of Wichita that are very inexpensive. There are, my goodness, so many different opportunities through the Wichita Sports Forum up in the northeast part of town. We have baseball. League 42 is a huge success for kids to play baseball. So we have quite a bit. I'm leaving a lot on the table unsaid, but we have quite a bit to do here in the city of Wichita, and quite a bit to do that is really inexpensive, that helps families do things together.
Do we know what the pricing will be? I know we're getting this new ballpark. Do we know what the ticket pricing will be yet?
You know, I don't think we do. I do know that Lou, the owner of the team, has said that he wants to make sure that every single person, every single family can afford to come to the Ball Diamond. He wants to make sure that the act of going to watch a baseball game is not something that's too expensive, because he grew up as a kid going. He wants kids to grow up and go. He'll have tons of days that allow kids and families to come.
Big kids too.
Yeah, big kids. One other thing I need to add about quality of life in Wichita, when people come here and they bring their families, the museums that we have here in the city of Wichita are second to none. So when we talk about inexpensive things to do, I wanted to throw a little plug in for our museums here in the city of Wichita too.
All right, 316-491-5787. We have another caller. Chuck, you're on the show. What is your question?
Well, I guess it's not a question as much as a comment. The city's dealing with the scooters, multiple vendors with scooters, and going to be a lot of scooters on the street. I haven't heard anything about texting on a scooter. You know, in a car, it's hard to tell, but it's going to be easy to tell on a scooter, and I think that probably ought to be something that they get pulled over for and lectured about, because they certainly need to watch for cracks and traffic and pedestrians and a whole bunch of other things, and I just haven't heard it mentioned, so I just thought, well, we're making the rules for the scooters. That might be a good idea.
Well, you know what? That's great. I'm glad that you said something. I would never have thought of texting and driving on one of those scooters because someone like me needs to have both hands on those handles. But that's a good point. We'll pass it along. I appreciate you making the suggestion.
And we do have another comment. This is from Facebook as well. Keep the Facebook comments, questions coming in. Just a reminder, scooters must be ridden in bike lanes, near the curb, not on the sidewalks. And I do know we've seen some on the sidewalks. Side note too, if WPD pulls you over on a scooter, which they can do, it's a motorized vehicle, you can get a DUI on that. So
yes, you can.
Definitely no drinking and driving. So how do we evolve the rules here? Who makes the rules ultimately?
The City Council, the City of Wichita, will make the rules ultimately. We need to see how this goes. We're going to get feedback from the police. We're definitely getting feedback from the public. And that's the whole point of a pilot project. And so as we see how the rules that we currently have are fitting in and how we need to adjust things, we will.
Okay, I have a question about integrated care team. 316-491-5787. That's the number. You can reach out to us on Facebook as well. Wichita's starting another pilot program, the integrated care team, that's going to involve a police officer. It's going to involve a worker from ComCare for mental health issues, and it's also going to include a paramedic. That team will now be available for 911 calls that are for mental health cases. How's this thing getting paid for, that side of things?
Yeah, it's actually kind of a group effort here as far as funding the program. I just want to say it's extremely important that this team is being put together. Our police department, our fire department, and those first responders are now mental health workers. You know, they're social workers. They're people that come first on the scene. They need to know how to deal with people with that sickness. And so, which could be a variety of things. And so we want to make sure that everybody is being taken care of and being dealt with in understanding. In the City of Wichita, when 911's called and they come upon a situation. So I think this is a great move. I'm excited that we're doing it. We're going to continue to train our officers in crisis intervention training to make sure that if this team is not available when they come on scene, that they still know how to deal with any issues and make sure that people are being, I think most importantly, dealt with in understanding when in a situation.
316-491-5787. We have another caller. Brenda, you are on the show. What is your question?
Yes, I was wondering about the scooters. Who's accountable if a scooter would run into my car? Who is responsible for the cost of that?
Well, that's a good question. When somebody rents a scooter, they sign an agreement taking full responsibility for their actions when they, for following the rules, for making sure that they have the proper equipment on. And so when they sign that, they're taking responsibility for how they're operating that scooter.
Also, insurance carriers would take a look at that as well, I have no doubt.
Absolutely.
So for some of the other scooter operators that are coming in, will they have different signatories that are required for different things? It's not something I've looked into. Would they have different requirements?
You know, every single time I've tried like 4 or 5 different scooter companies, and every single company has the same layout. When you get on the app and you have to look at the rules and sign and agree that you agree to their rules or the rules of the road. And so they may have variations, but everybody still has to fall under the rules of the pilot project.
Okay, well, thank you very much. 316-491-5787. We still have time for a few calls. We have less than 10 minutes, so get your Facebook questions in as well. When it comes to baseball, what is the on time and on budget? Let's talk about that a little bit. Are we on time? Are we on budget with this new baseball stadium?
Yeah. From what I understand, we're ahead of schedule just a little bit, which is very good because we still could have some rainy days, some snowy days. On time is opening day 2020. And so we want to make sure that when that day comes, that people are able to go, sit in their seats, and watch an amazing product.
Well, if you haven't driven by, you can drive by, well, you can't go by McLean anymore. It's closed there from Douglas
Yes,
over.
it is,
So,
yeah.
But if you can drive around and take a look at it, the structure's up. So we're getting a lot done out there.
It's exciting. It's exciting. I was receiving some pictures on my phone the other day of the structure going up, and to see something new, to see something going up in the city of Wichita that we haven't had in kind of this way, it's just exciting. It's Wichita moving forward.
Okay, 316-491-5787. Let's go ahead and show our next Facebook question. Somebody has a fishy question. Can you fish along the Arkansas River? Well, I almost said Arkansas River. I don't know.
How dare you?
I know.
How dare you?
Absolutely the Arkansas River and the little Arkansas. But what are the fishing rules along there?
You feel free. It's you just need to make sure that you are complying with the Kansas Fish and Game and Wildlife Services rules, which means you need to have a license if you're of age. So make sure you have that fishing license. And absolutely, we have people that fish off the bridges all the time. You just need to make sure that you're following state laws when you do so.
Another question about 316-491-5787. Facebook questions, keep them coming as well. What are the rules for being on the water now? I know at one point, because of the high water, we had shut down the river. Has that all changed? Where do we stand with that? And who makes the call on kind of shutting down the river when it gets too high and it's deemed dangerous?
Well, we will go through the emergency management services. You know, if the water's too high or if it's too swift, we will put kind of a notice out there that you're not allowed to get into the river. But in most cases, when the river's down like it is, and it's still up a little bit right now, but when it's dangerous, don't get in it. When those orders are lifted, feel free to have fun on the river.
Okay, what do we have next? I did want to ask you, what do you have next in your particular district, since you are District 3?
Yeah.
What do you have working on there?
Well, right now we're working on doing some repaving projects on Harry Street. If anybody has driven on Harry Street between Oliver and basically the canal route, it can be pretty bumpy, almost like landmines have blown up in the middle of the street. That is being repaved. Broadway's being repaved. We have a few intersections that are being redone. And the biggest thing, though, I think right now is just moving forward with Clapp Park and making sure that we're going to continue to put investments in there. You know, I think the people of that area are afraid that we say we're going to do one thing and we're not going to do another. So this is a great opportunity to show that we're going to do what we say we're going to do and try to build some trust with the public.
I know a lot of people have asked the question, 316, by the way, 491-5787. That's your number to call. Keep the Facebook questions coming in. We'd be happy to show them. I do know that a lot of people have asked over the last couple of years. We sold the Hyatt. The city used to own that. So I'm asking you today, what have we done with that money? I know some of it's gone to the different districts. What have you done in your district? Where did that money end up?
Yeah, so that money ended up a few different places. We did a transit pilot project. We put a tremendous amount of, actually most of the money, into streets, $10 million. We infused into our neighborhood streets to make sure that we could get caught up with some of the backlog. In my particular district, I was able to put some of the money in some things like a pilot project for our code enforcement to help them do their job a little bit more efficiently and help educate people on the do's and don'ts of yard maintenance and trash in the yard and that sort of thing. There are a couple other projects. We did some park improvements in my district. You know, we just, oh, another great thing is we did we updated the South Central Wichita Master Plan so we could make sure that we're kind of up to date on what the current needs of the South Central part of the city are. We did just quite a bit, actually, to make sure that we were investing in some things that would, I don't know, help for years to come down the line instead of some small things that kind of withered away and died. So, but one of the biggest things that we did, I think one of the most impactful things we did, was we used part of that money to help save the Starlight Drive-In.
Yes.
and we were able to buy the projectors for the Starlight because they were sold, and it was a community asset that was going to leave a very big hole, in the community. And so we did loan that money to the operator. It's a loan. He's paying it back. Actually, he probably expects he may even pay it back early. I won't hold him to that, but as you go out and support the drive-in, that money will be paid back, and then we'll have money hopefully to infuse in some more park projects.
All right. 316-491-5787. Time for a couple more calls. Lorene, you have a question. You're on the show. Lorene, what is your question?
My question is this: can we promote 4-H clubs and gardening and helping older people? Younger people really need to learn these as they grow up, even first graders and second graders and so on. And could there be people in the community that could be hired to promote these organizations? And I'm sure some of these older folks would be willing to pay. But learning the responsibilities of life, I think, is very important. And it isn't just swimming and fun and games. I think we need to take the responsibilities that life is very important to learn these things as a child or children.
Yeah, no, I agree. I appreciate you saying that. First of all, the 4-H clubs and some of those gardening kind of activities are supported through the County Extension Office out west, which is a great resource. So I would encourage people to get a hold of the Extension Office for some of those opportunities. But through our Park and Rec Department, we also do a lot of activities, like at the old Boston Rec Center. We do cooking classes through one of the community colleges here, which help people learn how to cook and probably prepare some of those fresh fruits and vegetables that they grow in their garden. But our Park and Rec Department does a really good job of providing really a wide array of activities to make sure that people have an opportunity to learn some of those skills that you're talking about.
I think part of her question may have also been, which she didn't say it, but I'm wondering, Lorene, if part of your question was, will kids ever get off their phones?
Well, I wish I could get off my phone, Craig.
I know, we live on our phones. Speaking of phones, somebody Facebooked us another question. Let's get to that. Why is there a charge to pay your water bills online? I didn't realize there was a charge to pay online.
Yeah. Well, when you pay online, and the charge is very minimal, especially if you pay with a credit card, those credit cards pass on fees to the city of Wichita. And so we are just passing those on back to you to make sure that if you would like to have that convenience of paying online, I think the charge is $1, but you're still free to mail your payment in, just like you would do. I want to say in the olden days.
Some people still use checks.
But it is a convenience fee. It really does go to help recoup those costs of that convenience for people.
All right, well, we've got 1 minute left, so I'll ask you for your 30-second wrap.
Sure.
What are you looking forward to?
It's an interesting thing. We have such an opportunity in the city of Wichita. I'm looking forward to the future, just to say what I'm looking forward to. We have such amazing people here in the city of Wichita that are making this place go. It's not city government that makes Wichita as great as it is. It's all the people that are volunteering in the community. It's the people that are giving up of their time and of their lives to make this city the great place that it is. And so I just want to encourage everybody, continue to get involved. Come to neighborhood meetings, come to our district advisory board meetings, get involved, because the only way that our city actually moves forward is if we have inputs from regular citizens.
I guess we can add to that, come to city council meetings, because you're
Absolutely.
there, what, every week, I understand?
Most every week, yes.
You are. Well, James, I appreciate you taking some time to be
pleasure.
with us today.
Thanks, Craig.
That is our time on Call the Mayor. We'll see you again next time. Facebook, ask your questions here. I'm Craig Andrus. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time.